What's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today a new 10.1.5 PTR hit PTR, and with it came the Warlock changes that were talked about last week. Tonight's video, this video will be looking at all those for Demo, Destro, and Affliction. Now, we're not going super far into damage testing, all that stuff here. That'll likely be in a video this weekend once Diablo things have passed a little bit. I'm playing Diablo also on stream, but if you want to come by, I guess shameless plug, we have drops, we have those starts. We also have the support a streamer program. If you guys are looking for the mount and all that, we'll have that starting on Monday, I believe. By the way, tonight's video looking at the Warlock changes. Like always, we can wear us add-ons down below, Twitch and Discord if you want them all for free. Social media links up here, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, Patreon, if you want to support there. And yeah, let's get it rolling. Okay, so starting off with Destro here, everybody wants to know about the 2-minute Infernal Crushing Chaos build, because Infernal, Crushing Chaos has been changed. Your next 8 Chaos Bolts or Rain of Fires with 2 points in Crushing Chaos have their damage increased by 50 and 70% respectively, which is pretty big, which also makes Wilfred's or Grand Warlock's design a solid option for Destro, giving you a 2-minute Infernal, or sub 2-minute Infernal, which we'll get to in a minute here. Every Infernal brings this buff here and the baseline value of Infernal on its own. So this is what I played in AoE earlier. Now, things were a little different from the build you play in retail currently, because on retail, you're not putting points in this part of the tree. All you do is grab Infernal. So your build looks something like this. You have a point in power, and you have, full Chaos Incarnate, full Embers, and Power Overwhelming. Unfortunately, if you want Ritual Avatar, which you pretty much do in AoE, you have to pull a few points, and I think this is sort of where you land with that, at least initially. I'm going to test builds more over the weekend, but this is where I've landed initially, and at least in AoE, it feels pretty good. So let's just start off here. Your dog is invisible, by the way, currently on PTR. Pretty cool. It's the new skin. So let's say we're going to do a pack here. Tanks pulling some mobs, get some immolates rolling. Pop our trinket, put down your Infernal, cast a CDF to extend immolates and get some damage in. Tier set, Rain of Fire, Havoc. Start casting some conflict rates, get some shards rolling in. There's some lag. I double conflict rated. There's lag on PTR. I'm sorry, but the cool thing here, the one big thing, be sure to keep an eye on my Infernal, because we are playing Wilfred's again, or Grand Warlock's design, which will give us a shorter Infernal. I want you to watch the cooldown reduction on it, which is right here on my screen, and watch how fast it comes back around in 4-target sustained AoE. Now keep in mind, at the same time here, like I said, this is 4-target sustained AoE. There is permanent flashpoint here, which you won't have in the majority of settings, really any settings, and you likely won't be in combat permanently this long. But in high-end keys and things, you are in combat for a good bit of the time, and 2-minute Infernal feels pretty good. We're already sub 1 minute on our Infernal, and we haven't even passed the minute mark, which you can see right here on my meter, in combat. Let's get a few immolates rolling again here. Some immolates up, that one, that one, that one. Conflict rate a little bit, run out of juice here a little bit, no problem as a proc. Put up a Havoc, launch a thing here. Need a CDF. And we're back in business. Look at our Infernal coming off CD basically right now at 1:20. And there's your Infernal again. I didn't mean to cast a bolt there, but that's okay. You get the point. Wilfred's or Grand Warlock's design in AoE with your Infernal feels very good. And the cool thing is that if you're playing Raging Demon Fire with CDF, which most builds are at this point, you end up getting like almost permanent immolate extension on most targets. Packs won't live for 1.5 minutes, but I mean, it makes refreshing immolate nowhere near the issue that it is at times currently Mythic Plus. You refresh maybe once every typical 3 Rain of Fire or CDF cast. It feels pretty good. AoE looks very good, but when it comes to single target, things are a little different. Let's look at that. So like I said, Destro in single target is a little different. We need to change builds here, pull points out of Rain of Fire, but the thing is, so on retail, you have a build like this in single target. You'll be able to take all these points here with your Infernal and get big juice here. Burn to Ashes, Avatar, Chaos Incarnate, all this stuff. But unfortunately, if you're going into Crushing Chaos and Grand Warlock's design, you don't have the option of taking all these things here, right? Now, if you're in single target, you like it, you're going to want Burn to Ashes. You probably don't care about Master Rituals as much. You probably can pull that, put it here. You might, but you still need 2 more points. And the question is, what do you pull? I think your best options to pull are probably Chaos Incarnate and Avatar, as sad as it is, to grab all this with Grand Warlock's design. Embers might not seem as impactful, but it actually is. Embers makes Madness Chaos Weaving much easier, much better. It makes the spec much more fluent. Now, I played with both Chaos Incarnate and Embers early on in PTR today. Details is broken now. I can't pull up the whole like loadout. So whenever that's fixed this weekend, I'll test in another video. But I would assume this is where you want to go with Destro single target if you're playing Crashing Chaos. There could be a world though where you just say, hey, we're still playing 3-minute Infernal, and that's that. Because like not having Avatar, not having Chaos Incarnate, not having, you know, other things makes it sort of awkward. But either way, let's give it a shot. Spoilers ahead, your Chaos Bolts do hit very hard. So let's say we're opening up in this mob here. I'll just out. My dog is invisible, but he's still here in spirit and here in something. Precast and Incinerate, Immolate, drop the rock. We'll Conflagrate, cast a CDF. I'm lagging a bit, it's okay. We're gonna Potion Trinket, launch some Chaos Bolts. What is this? 222, 278, 319. Big Chaos Bolts back from Crashing Chaos. 328. The ramp 357. The ramping damage feels pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty good. Chaos Bolts do hurt. They hurt a good bit, but at the same time, a lot of your damage is behind your Infernal now with Crashing Chaos. It's not going to be a flat line of Destro anymore if you play this build. You're going to have, like, I mean, your Infernal matters again. Your Infernal brings Crashing Chaos. Your Infernal brings, I mean, just it's based on damage, but those I guess those 8 amplified Chaos Bolts, right? Outside of that, you still have Burn to Ashes. You're still weaving in Chaos Bolts via Madness and things, which I'm not doing very well here. But you're not going to have that same level of sustain you have with Destro now, where it's a flat line of just constant damage, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, but I am very happy that a 2-minute damage profile is potentially on the table. A 2-minute damage profile comparatively to a 3-minute damage profile is two different things. Being able to, number one, line up better with PI. Number two, just have a 2-minute profile on a lot of fights. Makes a lot of things, just so many fights easier. I guess settings easier. Being able to allocate 2-minute CDs to a point in the fight where you want that big damage, that big cleave damage from a Destro Warlock via Havoc and things, makes life so much better, so much easier. And I'm really pumped to have 2-minute Infernal back. Our damage breakdown now, Chaos Bolt being 30%, Incinerate being 22, still up there a decent bit, but we also have Infernal coming around in 10 seconds here, which is going to be probably exactly, if you look at my clock here, exactly, like we said, 2-minute Infernal. It's pretty sick. And honestly, hey, weaving in CDFs might feel a little gross, but at the same time, if that's the tax we gotta pay for 2-minute Infernal, then so be it. I'm down to launch some 360k Chaos Bolts and watch everything melt around me. So when it comes to Demonology, there's like a single target build as well as like your Mythic Plus Cleave kind of build. And this is what I've sort of, I guess, was testing with and landed on earlier. Some interesting choices in here. We'll look at more at single target builds in the weekend video, like I said. There's a handful of them with Sack Souls, without, with Portal, all that kind of stuff. I want to look at more of the AoE Plus build here and go from there. We're not playing Sack Souls here, also for what it's worth. Don't worry about, or Soul Strike, don't worry about that. That was a test that didn't go right. Probably a build like this is roughly where I'd start. Now, there are a handful of new talents in here. You have Malefic Impact being the Hand of Gul'dan, damage and crit increase. You've got Imperator being your Wild Imp crit Firebolt or Firebolt damage increase. Things like Heavy Handed, giving your Felguard more crit chance. Things like Cavitation, making it do 20% increased crit strike damage, however you want to word it, right? You also have things here like Dread Calling, having 2 ranks on it, unfortunately, which is, with a second dog, without having your third dog around, is likely devalued a good bit. You still have Imp Gang Boss, still have Implosion, still have, Demonic Strength. Bio's Forge Bombers is a no cooldown or no shard cost ability. That has changed in this patch. Spoilers ahead, I did test it today. Demonic Strength still a little better, probably need some buffs, but we'll play it here. It's cool to hit, it's a fun button. And yeah, Guillotine's still here as well. And you have the gist of what is still like Demonology's AoE build and all that, but yeah, it feels similar, it feels different. But the big thing, we have demonic knowledge around. So you have those random demonic cores floating around, which makes Demonology a bit more exciting to play. We're not just, casting Shadow Bolt a bunch. So opening up here, let's just go into our Grimoire. We're going to Bolt here, cast our Dogs. Gonna Demon Bolt. Hand, Bolt cycle a little bit here, just go hand. We'll pop our Iridius Fragment, go into our Tyrant, put down our guillotine, put down our bombers, which I haven't done in a long time. There's the bombers coming out of the portal. Very cool. Cast some hands, all this stuff here. Pray for some good RNG on Imp Gang bosses here. I think I scuffed the rotation a little bit. Yep, there's actually just lag. That's what it is. But cast dogs here. Cast a bolt. Ready to implode. And just implode now. Close enough. Why not? It's still baseline Demonology. You've still got... You can see there's some refunds coming in from dog extension there. But there's still some core stacks floating around. With Demonic Knowledge still being a thing. We're going to implode here again. And that's the gist of it. We have bombers again here. And I will say that bombers, like I said, does not seem to be as good as demonic strength in like AoE damage. But man, it feels so good to be able to hit bombers with a no shard cost on them. It feels like having a second guillotine with a larger radius. And I mean, you know, it feels good to play with. I haven't been able to hit Bioscore's bombers in a long time. It's always been a fun ability. I'm happy to see it back. Now, the one thing I will say is that it was mentioned as well in the feedback that we gave. Not having third dog around, you can certainly feel the lack of third dog when it comes to FTS, or it's now called Houndmaster Stratagem procs. The thing that procs here whenever you cast your dogs and increases Shadow Flame damage. This thing does not re-proc or re-chomp, whatever you want to call it, anywhere near as much as it used to. You can certainly feel the lack of of that being a thing. Now, I mean, is it the end of the world? Not necessarily, but I mean, it is a bit saddening, you know, thinking back on better times when it actually procced a bunch. You're able to chain, you know, basically a full window of FTS. But at the same time, I mean, as long as they can tune things around having a second dog and still giving us good, sustainable AoE and all that, I think we're in an okay spot. This build's fun to play. We have an army of imps out right now, too. We have 20. Let's make it 23. Why not? Some a bit less because they expire. That's okay. We can implode there. And I mean, the overall damage, Implosion's the highest thing here, followed by Dread Bite, Thel Explosion being from Guillotine, and then you've got Legion Strike, all that kind of stuff. If I could expand this, it doesn't work, it's broken, but if I could expand this, Bombers would likely be right around Legion Strike. It might even overtake it here, depending what happens. It's typically pretty close, but either way, Demo still feels like Demo. Rotationally, tuning is likely needed. It's probably like the lowest sustain of any spec I've tested today so far, but we'll see where it goes. So yeah, and in single target, there's a lot of builds you can play, but we'll get more into that this weekend in the damage testing videos, because at its core, Demonology is still Demonology. Now, when it comes to Affliction, so the big changes Affliction got, obviously Malefic Affliction is gone. You now have Xavius' Gambit, giving you a passive UA damage increase. You have Doom Blossom, which now says when Seed of Corruption deals damage up to a target suffering from your UA, they explode, dealing damage to all enemies within 10 yards. You have Seed's cast time being reduced. It was 2 for me before. Now it's 1.5 due to hasted cast time reduction, all that kind of stuff. And for the most part, besides that, it's pretty much the same. Dread Touch triggers off of just having a UA on a target and rapturing once. Quality of life for AF this patch is through the roof. You still have Siphon Life. I get it. I understand. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. But let's try out a little bit of AF AoE here briefly and see how it looks rotationally. Now, I will say that Soul Rot, Gluttony Row here is an option. With your tier bonus reducing the cooldown on Vital Taint, it actually makes Soul Rot and Gluttony and everything pretty awkward. You're like holding your Soul Rot for a while if you're just casting Vital Taint on a cooldown. I'm not a huge fan of it. We'll see where it goes. I want to play Grim Reach stuff here with Dark Lair and show you the damage you can output, because the damage is actually pretty solid. The main thing here is that having... not having 5 shards going into a pull here, well, your opener feels a bit lacking, at least in dummies here. But in plus, you'll have multiple shards. At the same time, we're playing PI and Soul Swap here because we're not playing Soul Flame. You play it in plus, it can't trigger here, doesn't matter. But keep in mind, Soul Flame will be part of this too if you were in M+. So, I'm going to go into the pack here. We are playing Grim Reach, so we're going to put up Siphon Lamp on our main target, if I remember correctly. Precast Seed into a Vital Taint, into a UA. Going to Siphon Life, we're going to put up our Haunt, everything here. We're going to Trinket, Potion, do whatever. We're going to Dark Lair and begin spamming Seed. Seed. Look at the cast time. Look at the refund there. Seed, look at the Drain Soul. Look at the damage output here. There was a Soul Conduit proc in there. Look at the damage output. It's pretty solid. This build, having Seed's cast time reduced, legitimately feels good. I've been very impressed with it. It's not like where we were at in... what was it called? Shadowlands, where we had, you know, the 0.5 second seed cast time with Decaying Soul Satchel and Feel the Blossoms and Insane Haste stacking, but it's still there. You can feel the cast time reduction change. And honestly, depending where it lands and things, being able to pull like 4 or 5 shards from one pack into the next and just spam a seed a million times, it's going to have a pretty solid damage profile. Between that and the Malefic Affliction changes, the quality of life changes that are coming in, AF is going to feel pretty good. The one thing I still hate is the fact that Bialtane's cooldown is not short enough to cover like permanent agony refreshes on targets here. It feels really bad having to go like, all right, cool, I got to reapply all my agonies here. Oh, I just finished doing all that? Sick, Bialtane's off cooldown now. It's a very odd approach to things, but I mean, you have to do it, right? Because it's the way it's structured. But overall, it's pretty solid. And look at the damage breakdown here. I can't pull it all up because Details is broken again. We'll look at it more this weekend as well. Again, look at this. Look at Doom Blossom. Yo, Doom Blossom's doing damage. It's not bad. Not as much as Seed, but it was like 7% before. 6-7%. And Grim Reach, 7% as well. I mean, all 3 specs look to be, I mean, pretty solid in Mythic Plus AoE-based settings and all that kind of stuff. Got to see where it goes. Hopefully tuning comes in, but like, I think people are really sleeping on AF with like all the demo changes being announced and how everyone's mad about that stuff. And then they got changed, which is great. And 2-Minute Infernal, that feels great too. But like, I think people are sleeping on AF a bit. AF looks to be pretty good from what we can see here. And well, if you're looking to play a single target build, honestly, same stuff. Haunted Soul, Malevolent Visionary. That's it. Pack it in. That's AF. Big quality life changes. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope it clarified any questions you might have had about the changes to Warlock that hit today on PTR and what's happening in 10.1.5. I have to say, Destro feels really good. I'm curious where it's going to go and where it's going to land damage-wise. We'll look at that more in a few days from now. Demonology, honestly, like, you can feel Demonic Knowledge being back 100%. I'm curious to see where it lands in Sims. There's a lot of talents like Cavitation, Imperator, whatever it is, Dirty Hands, the throughput ones that are likely just going to be Sim things. But I'm curious to see where it all lands, because some seem like they're pretty strong, and some seem like they're not as strong. But Blizzard also said that tuning is coming, and that might change things. So we'll see where all that goes. Oh, and short seed cast times also feel pretty good. And no Malefic Affliction, well, that feels great. So, like always, weekly course, add-ons, and profiles, links to Twitch and Discord down below. If you want to grab any of them, they're all for free for you guys. Like always, I also want to give one huge shout out to my patrons for in the video. We're also supporting on Patreon, guys. Thank you a million times. Really appreciate it. If you're looking to supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below somewhere in the video description. I feel like ever since Dragonflight's initial launch, Warlock has steadily gotten a bit better and better every single patch, whether it's like a 0.0 patch, a 0.1 patch, a 0.5 patch, even a 0.7 patch. And heading into 0.15 here, we're getting a bit better as well. 2-Minute Infernal, more quality life for AF, and Demo, depending how you want to look at it, is getting some love too. So we'll see where all it goes, or where it all goes. I'm tired, but I'm excited. It should be good. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.